Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer, and today I have with me Elmer Yuen, and we are going to take you, the viewer, a look back at what happened last year when the Army Chief of Taiwan, the helicopter that was carrying him, went down and killed him. Are there eerie similarities between that and the CDS helicopter crashing 2 days ago? We will find out. We want to tell you what happened in the Taiwan incident as much as we can, as best as Elmer can reconstruct that, because this is something that no country will ever admit if there was indeed some sort of a sabotage. To know more about all this, let's welcome our guest of the day, Elmer Yuen. Elmer, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
How are you? Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. I'm very shocked this morning to hear that your chief of staff of India has a helicopter accident. And it's quite serious. More than 10 people were killed. And of course, naturally, that we are in the news business would compare this with the incident in Taiwan. Exactly the same position. The two military, really the head of the military. That's as simple as that.
Yes.
And they are in Taiwan, and his helicopter together with maybe 5 or 6 people went down, and accident, and nobody can really offer any explanation. The U.S. helicopter is very, very high quality. I believe it's a Black Hawk, and of course, the best maintained helicopter is for the chief of the military. There's no question.
Of course.
So to call this a mechanical failure or whatever it is just not there. I mean, how often do we hear about U.S. military helicopter have accident in the United States? There must be thousands flying on a daily basis. How often we hear such accident? Especially how come the head of the military, and it happened to be a country that is a dead enemy with the communist China. So we believe, I mean, we really have no evidence because we are just civilians, but this is too much of a coincidence. I think statisticians would tell us this is really 1,000,000 in 1 chance. How come 2 countries fighting with Chinese communists all happen to have their military, chief of military went down in helicopter? And in fact, you know, I was that may be a little bit out of it. You know, as you know, the F-35B in UK also went down during its horizontal lifting. It has not gone into a flight yet. It's a vertical lifting. During its vertical lifting from the aircraft carrier Elizabeth, and that one also went down to the sea. Of course, that's in Mediterranean, but such kind of helicopter or vertical takeoff airplane accident is very, very sensitive. And there may be, I'm just guessing, maybe there is some technique that the communists know and we don't know. It's impossible, especially the Taiwan case. And in the India case, I'm sure he used the best service and best maintained helicopter you have in the whole military. There's absolutely no reason for that to happen. The chance is just too small to be true, to be coincidental.
Now, let me just give some differences between the 2 scenarios. In the case of Taiwan, it was believed to be a Black Hawk helicopter. In the case of India, it was a Russian Mi-17 version 5 helicopter. And like you said, I have been watching very closely. Many experts come and weigh in that this was one of the most well-maintained helicopters. And there is some evidence, video evidence of what was happening. They said there was bad weather. I disagree. Looking at the evidence, because there are people who are tracing the helicopter from some distance, and you can see the helicopter flying just normally, and then poof, it just exploded. then it's like somehow it disappeared under behind some trees. We are still waiting to see what happened at that particular point. Now, out of the 14 people on board the aircraft, one of the pilots is fighting for his life. And they were saying that the bodies were charred beyond recognition. They had to do DNA to establish the identity of the dead bodies. Very, very unfortunate. And to understand how this happened, I want to show you my hand. If you look at it very closely, you see the dark spots on these two fingers, and there's a scalding of on skin. See, what happened was 3 days ago, I lifted the lid off of a very popular Indian dish called idli, which is rice cake. It's boiled. It's not oil. It's just boiled. And the lid, I didn't catch it properly, so it came on an angle, and the steam caught me. And this is instinct reaction. I just dropped the lid, 10 seconds or 5 seconds maybe. And I was in extreme pain, Elmer. And to have burned to death like this, God, what they must have gone through. I really, really, can't comprehend. This is one of the worst ways to die, burning slowly and no escape. The whole thing is a ball of fire. Extremely saddened by this. Now, Elmer, this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the different weapons China seems to be having in its arsenal. And you have been hearing some new theories, I should say, being put out by American, people who matter, very, very high up there, where what is China planning to do with Taiwan? Certainly, the indications are all there that there is an imminent war. Now, you've heard a few things. Viewers, you should just take it from what Elmer says as his views. And as more things come up, we will know more. But we have been right thus far. Whenever Elmer has said something, even though he prefaces it with, it is my opinion, it is my belief, that turns out to be the truth. Elmer, please share with us what are the things that are going through.
Let me step back a little bit about the helicopter. What you described happened in India. You should read again. It's almost identical what happened in Taiwan. There is no weather problem. I mean, such helicopter has no weather problem. And all of a sudden, it just disappeared from the radar and also end up in forest. Very, very similar. And I really suspect foul play from the Communist China. But I mean, we suspect, but we need to suspect when you are dealing with the enemy, you are almost on the verge of war, both Taiwan and India. We really need to suspect. We should not say that, with no evidence, so we shouldn't think about it. That is amateur talking. We should really suspect. Today, for instance, I accuse the Chinese Communist Party as a criminal organization. All right, over the last 70-some years, they've committed all kinds of crimes. We should not give them the presumed innocence. When I'm dealing with you, of course, it's presumed innocence, right? We're dealing with peaceful people. When you're dealing with a criminal organization, you should assume, you should suspect that it's foul play. So this attitude is very important if we want to be in this business. Different dealing, dealing with good people, you give them innocence, presumed innocence. But dealing with the criminals, you have to be suspicious. Now, I suspect the helicopter went down, and we need to find out. The communists have all kinds of secret weapons that the Western people have never even think about. The latest I heard, sorry, I need to correct you. My information came from China, all right? My information on what they plan to do in Taiwan. It's called generic weapon. Generic, all right? They use it very specifically.
Can you spell it for us? Can you spell it for us?
Generic, genes. Generic.
Okay, is it genetic? Genetic or generic?
Sorry. Genetic. Pardon me for my English. Genetic, because I got the information in Chinese. And I translated.
Understood.
Genetic weapon, meaning they can target certain type of people of a special genetic. So what happened, you remember a couple of years here or something, they are collecting samples all over the world. Chinese is easy. They already have everything. But they are collecting in foreign countries, they're collecting gene sequence of different people. And we all know, I mean, I'm not in the weapon business, so you are not. But we all know that everybody, many countries, not only China, is researching how to target, all right, how to improve soldiers and also target your enemies using different genes. And this is what I heard. You see, in normal weaponry or conventional weapon, China will lose if they do anything to Taiwan. But if they use, say for instance, two drones, and drop a few test tubes on a very populated area, or drop on the military, all right? Militaries they live very closely. If they drop this on a concentrated area, it's disastrous. All your military will lose its fighting experience. And if they lose it, if they drop it on civilians, the whole place will be in chaos. So this is the kind of warfare we must watch out. And you say, oh, how can you accuse them of doing such thing? Look, the Wuhan virus, all right? You know that P4 lab, they spent 500 million RMB to build that P4 lab. From 2004 and completed 10 years later in Wuhan. They spent that kind of money really for vaccine, for the research of vaccine? Of course not. It's for weapon. And there are 2 floors in that lab. Originally, the French only gave a plan for 1 lab. So they built 2-level labs. The lower level for the military and upper level for so-called the Academy of Science for medical research. But of course, upstairs and downstairs. So I have absolute, this is not rumor, all right? We know the Wuhan lab has been researching gain of function. And gain of function is no different from weaponizing, because you improve the way it infects, meaning it can infect easily. And also you improve the deadliness once you are infected. This is called the gain of function. And tell me, what's the difference between that and weaponizing the virus? So, and furthermore, I believe if you step one more step, you can use gene sequence of different people and target them differently. This rumor has been going on for a whole year. They can, for example, identify white soldiers, all right? Because white soldiers and Chinese soldiers are different. So they can actually target different soldiers. So I believe that we need to watch out, both in Taiwan and you need to watch out in India, that they may use this, because that doesn't cost them anything. It's the cheapest. No plane, no soldiers, no bullets. All of a sudden they use their drones and drop a few, and the game is over. You lose your fighting ability. And as a result, if it happens in many instances, you end up negotiating and they end up winning. That is the result. Please do not believe in all this weaponry that your prime minister is spying from Russia. That's not going to be the war, all right? Because if the world gang up together, American helps India, Japan helps, and so on, and NATO helps India. In conventional war, you are going to win. But they will never fight a conventional war. This is what you must read that book, Unrestricted Warfare. And in that book, it was written, I think, in the 90s, last century, 90s. And even that book specifically said how they would handle the 9/11 situation. All right? And those people, those Al-Qaeda people joined in the 9/11, had training in China before they came to the States. So you can call me whatever what it is, but please get that book. I'm sure it already has English translation.
We'll put a link. We'll put a link to that on our show more section.
And already mentioned about how you use enemies thing to fight the enemy, meaning they're using an enemy's airplane to crash into the World Trade Center towers. This is very, very typical of Chinese war thinking. I'm sure you've heard about the art of war. The best thing is not to use your own.
Yeah.
And this is best thing is not to use your weaponry. Let them kill each other. And this has been happening again. Look at America, all right? America, the black are fighting the white, all right? I'm not racial, but in reality, and who is paying for the black? Who is training the black? You must understand. And I need to tell you one story. Which I'm sure most of your Indian audience have not heard of. You know, China has huge influence in Africa. And the
Yes.
sons of those dictators in India, or the military or politician, prominent people, those sons, they take them to China to study at the best university, all right? And then because they are academically, as you know, you are from India, we Chinese and you India are very good academically, right? Scholastically, most India cannot compete with us, all right? So what happened is they get 4 girls, each Indian male student.
I think you're talking about Africa, sons of dictators of Africa.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I am. All right.
Okay.
I'm talking about thousands. I'm not talking about few, 10 or 20. Thousands of them actually goes to university, different university in China, the best. And each of them get 3 to 4 girls, good students. Also, the girls will be helping them in their study, so-called study assistant. Of course, these girls end up in bed with the male. You know, African, they are very sexually very active. I mean, I'm just
Yes.
something we know. I'm not making it up. These girls get pregnant and they give birth to kids who would be half Chinese and half African. All right, and these kids will grow up also receiving Chinese education. Of course, they'll be much better student than their father, because from very young they were educated. I'm like India too. You get your young kids, you educate your kids from very young. So of course, the father goes back to India. Well, goes back to Africa, and then ends up become leaders, right? And with all his Chinese education and so on. Imagine the next generation, the kids also go back to Africa. That is how they rule Africa. They will rule Africa. They will control Africa. And more than that, some of these kids end up in the United States as Antifa, and you cannot tell the difference. They're very well educated, and the Antifa, you really must. Unfortunately, you know, the present US administration is not doing anything. Somebody should really look into the Antifa's background. Lots of them are trained in China, all right? And maybe some of them could be these African students, all right? So this is the way they fight wars. Nothing this with tanks and the airplanes and warships. This is the way they will control Africa with the people. They actually make these people and send them back to Africa, and they will control not only Africa but to many, many places, which, you know, people that have a same I call, let's say, mixture of
facial features. Yeah.
Mixture features. Nothing against the mixture. I have absolutely nothing against racial, but this is their weapon. This is how they fight. The world should learn. I mean, this is not a normal country. It's a criminal country dominated by a criminal organization. So what I'm saying is, don't be surprised. The only thing is your imagination, all right? It's what you cannot imagine. There's nothing they cannot do, they would not do. It's only something you are not able to imagine. I make my English is not that good.
Absolutely. No. You made your point home. So the takeaways are that don't prepare for conventional warfare. There is a genetic warfare being planned that can cripple one particular set of genes, and that would essentially mean that the people that you are expecting to fight for you could be disabled, even if it is temporarily, because the surprise is the whole point. So I can only tell you, Elmer, that I share in all of your concerns, and it is our duty to at least tell people that, look, these are all the different things that are being thought of in China, and we need to be prepared. And I really hope the black box from the helicopter has been recovered. I really hope that the government shares the finding. Sometimes what happens is they are too, they don't want to share it, because if it shows that they didn't, they say that yes, there was a Chinese attack in terms of electronics, that would mean that they were not able to countermeasure that. There wasn't any countermeasure on the helicopter to ward off that. So, in any way, let us hope that as a democracy, they will get it. Yeah, you want to say something? Please go ahead.
I want to add one more thing. Remember
Yes.
the MH370 that disappeared? All right. Malaysia. And from that incident, everybody starts suspecting the communists have a way, all right, using software and wireless communication. They can control the plane, being not on the plane. You understand what I mean? It's remote control.
Yes.
And this is not rocket science. Most of your airports today have control. The car tower controls the landing. So controlling airplane is not a fairy tale. So let me tell you what happened, what the theory is, all right? There is no proof, because it is first time in history that the airplane was never found. Such a big airplane. It's not a small airplane, all right? The MH370, flight number 370, disappeared. And it's been several years. They still haven't found it. What happened was, as you know, I'm sure you have heard about Falun Gong, right? Those Falun Gong people, the Chinese have grabbed
just for our viewers' sake, viewers' sake, viewers, Falun Gong, FALUNGONG. These are Buddhists. They happen to be in and around Tibet for the most part, but they are also spread around China. Most of them are vegetarian, and they are being discriminated just like the Uyghurs. And they also are getting harvested for their body parts, because people who want healthy bodies, who have not eaten meat, they think that this could be a better body replacement. This is all I want to tell you. There is an Enver Toth interview that I did on PGurus channel. You can go back and look at that. Please continue, Elmer.
Okay. What happened is the Chinese have arrested the Falun Gong. If you practice Falun Gong, they arrest you. And the younger people, they've been taking their organ for transplants. It's a huge industry in China. You can almost get on the website. And if you want to order a liver, they will tell you maybe a month later, you can come to China, we'll have a liver ready for you. How can you have such a fresh liver ready? In US, you have to wait for years to get an organ transplant, because it's very short and the blood has to match. So what happened, the Chinese, not only the Falun Gong people, practitioners being arrested, also normal people in prison and who has been sentenced to long-term imprisonment or to death. So they harvest all their organs and then transplant it, of course, to anybody. Foreign political leaders. Remember that, foreign political leaders. And there's suspicion that Angela Merkel have received something, because she had all kinds of problems, all right? And she goes to Wuhan. Wuhan is the center. Wuhan, where the virus came from, is the best for this kind of transplanting, all right? And what happened is the doctors, for the best specialists for the transplant, were on the plane from Malaysia going back to China on that MH370, all right? That list, the manifest, was never pragmatist. And also, they have been followed by a group of, there is a 610 office. You can look up Google. 610 office is a special branch in the police to deal with the Falun Gong people. And they're one of the group that follows these doctors, these surgeons, were on the plane. So the story is that they've decided to destroy all evidence. All right, it's still going on, but that particular group of surgeons and their detectives, followers, all right, from the police, they went down in that plane. They went down in the plane. So there has been lot of theories going on that they can remotely control the plane. And this is not difficult at all. With today's technology, they can remotely control the plane. So I would suspect there's nothing hitting the plane, but they were able to control the plane from outside. This is what I suspect that Taiwan or India and also the MH370, right? You know, I'm a little nobody, but I do have I associate things, all right? And I tell the audience, and I'm not saying I have any evidence, I really don't, but we need to be able to suspect and then connect all the dots. This is, at least as an ordinary person, we must learn how to do it. We cannot say,
Yes.
show me the evidence. Only people, whenever they say, show me the evidence, those people refuse to think. They say, I will only believe when I see it. By the time you see it, we are dead. Look at US, almost 800,000 people have died of the COVID. Nobody talk about where the origin or why or who is responsible. And they keep on saying, the State Department, you go to them. I came here a year and a half ago. I said, this is obviously a bioweapon. Oh, you should really pursue. Send your best CIA and people to find out what happened. No, they didn't do anything. They've been pushed at the end to come up with a report saying that they don't even think Xi Jinping knows it. So it's a whole joke. So we, as a responsible citizen, we must use our own intelligence and connect the dots, not just to rely on news. All right, only the ignorant rely on news. Sorry, I talked too much.
Two questions that come from your revelation just now. MH370. Where did it take off and where was it headed for?
It's Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, and about a few hours. When it's going up to the, I think it's almost entering Vietnam area, near Vietnam area, disappear from the screen and never found. And how can that be? There must be a conspiracy between the Malaysian and the Chinese, and also the airlines are involved. The manufacturers, the airplane manufacturers are involved. This will become, I think it will sooner or later, we'll find out what happened. But the whole thing was a scheme. As you know, Malaysia was, at that time, under Najib, was very, very close to the Chinese Communist Party.
Now, that plane was actually, it went down somewhere over the Indian Ocean, nowhere close to this. That's what they were saying.
They say, this is what they make the story. They say somehow the plane turned around and then headed down to the South Indian Ocean and crashed over there. No evidence. This is the story. And they kept all kinds of search within the south of Indian Ocean, west of Australia. They get all kinds of search. Zero. They found nothing. I have another theory, which I want to talk to you later. I don't believe that. It did not. They say it goes to India. There was no evidence that it even passed through. They just say suddenly disappeared, and they believe it turned back and headed for India, but there was no trace of it flying over India.
Now, second question along the same lines. Now, if the manifest has not been shared with the common public, how do we know that there were doctors on board on that plane?
That is our inside information from China.
Okay.
This is
thank you.
Very serious stuff. We're talking about Falun Gong. It's a very big organization. Falun Gong at that time, when it started about 20 some years ago, had 90 million members. The communists feel threatened. So Falun Gong is like India, you know, it's a practicing yoga. It's nothing harmful. But then because the number threatened the Chinese Communist Party, they decided to do away with it.
So a lot of revelations, and again, the takeaway is that India needs to do a very thorough investigation of what happened to its top army official. We owe it to that person. and that death could not have been easy. His wife also died on that plane, that helicopter, and a lot of the top level, his staff. Many people died. His personal security detail died. Our hearts go out to all of them. Om Shanti. And as always, Elmer, it's a pleasure having you on our channel. We'll be back again with more news from Elmer. Namaskar. Thank you very much. Do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Once again, thank you, Elmer.
Thank you, Sree.